My name is Hazel, and at 53 years old, I thought I had seen enough of life to know when something was wrong. For 9 years, my son Tyler had been the brightest light in my world. The reason I woke up smiling every morning. My marriage to Gregory wasn't perfect anymore. The warmth had faded somewhere along the way, but I still believed we were a family. That Tuesday morning, I got a phone call from Tyler's school that would shatter everything I thought I knew. I thought it was just a stomach bug. I had no idea what the security cameras had captured. If you're watching this, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Please hit that like button if you believe a mother's intuition is real, and subscribe because what I'm about to share, it'll make you question everyone around you. Let me take you back to that Tuesday morning when everything still seemed normal. I've been teaching art at Lincoln High School for almost 20 years now. It's a good life, steady and predictable. Tyler came into our lives when I was 44 after years of hoping and praying. Gregory, my husband of 15 years, works as a manager at a large accounting firm downtown. He's 55, always been the responsible type, the kind of man who pays bills on time and remembers to change the oil in the car. We live in a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of town, one of those streets where everyone knows their neighbors and kids ride bikes until the street lights come on. Our house is small but cozy with a garden out back, where I grow tomatoes every summer. In the mornings, I make coffee in the kitchen, while sunlight streams through the yellow curtains I picked out years ago. It used to feel like home. But lately, something had shifted. Gregory started coming home later sometimes, after 9 at night. When I'd ask about his day, he'd give short answers and disappear into his office. The man who used to kiss my forehead before bed now barely looked at me. I told myself it was work stress. Accounting season, budget reports, all those things that made him tense. I didn't want to admit that maybe, just maybe, we were drifting apart. That Tuesday in October started like any other autumn morning. The air had that crisp quality that made everything feel fresh and new. I woke up at 6, started the coffee maker, and began preparing breakfast. Tyler loves scrambled eggs with cheese toast, with strawberry jam and a glass of orange juice. Simple pleasures for a simple kid. He came downstairs at 6:30, his dark hair sticking up in all directions, wearing his navy blue school uniform with his backpack already slung over one shoulder. That's Tyler, always prepared, always ready. He's got his father's brown eyes and my dimples, a combination that makes my heart swell every time I look at him. "Morning, Mom," he said, sliding into his chair at the kitchen table. "Morning, sweetheart. Ready for that math test today?" He nodded, scooping eggs onto his fork. "I studied all the multiplication tables last night. I think I've got it." "That's my boy," I said, ruffling his hair. Gregory came down at 7, already dressed in his grey suit tie, perfectly knotted. He grabbed a mug of black coffee, not even glancing at the breakfast I'd laid out. No eggs, no toast, just coffee. "You're not eating?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. "Running late," he muttered, checking his watch. Tyler looked up at his father. "Dad, did you see I got an A on my science project?" Gregory nodded absently. "That's good, son." That was it. No smile, no congratulations, just a distracted nod before he grabbed his briefcase and headed for the door. The coldness in the air lingered even after he left. Tyler didn't say anything, but I saw the flicker of disappointment in his eyes. At 7:30, the yellow school bus pulled up in front of our house. I walked Tyler to the door, kissed the top of his head, and watched him climb aboard. He turned and waved at me through the window, that bright smile lighting up his face. I waved back, standing on the porch until the bus disappeared around the corner. The rest of the morning passed in its usual rhythm. I drove to Lincoln High, taught my first 2 classes, helped students mix paints and sketch autumn landscapes. By 11, I was feeling good about the day. My students were engaged, the weather was beautiful, and I had a free period coming up. Then my phone rang. It was 11:15. I was setting up supplies for my next class when I felt the vibration in my pocket. I pulled out my phone and saw the name on the screen, Lincoln Elementary School. My stomach dropped instantly. Schools don't call unless something's wrong. I stepped into the hallway, pressing the phone to my ear. Hello, Mrs. Peterson. The voice belonged to Mrs. Chen, the school nurse. She sounded tense. Yes, this is she. Is everything okay? It's about Tyler. He's been getting sick. He started vomiting around 10:45, and we're concerned. My heart started racing. Vomiting. What happened? Was it something he ate? We're not sure yet. He seemed fine during morning classes, perfectly normal during recess. But then in the cafeteria, he suddenly got pale and started throwing up. We've moved him to the nurse's office. Is he okay now? I asked, my hand gripping the phone tighter. He's stable, but he's thrown up 3 times in the last 30 minutes. We think you should come pick him up. I'll be right there, I said, already walking toward my classroom to grab my purse. But first I needed to call Gregory. Surely he'd want to know his son was sick. Surely he'd care enough to at least ask how Tyler was doing. I dialed his number as I hurried down the hallway. It rang once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Finally he answered. What is it, Hazel? His voice was clipped, irritated. Tyler is sick at school. He's been vomiting. The nurse called, and I need to pick him up. There was a pause, then a heavy sigh. I'm at work. You're the mother, handle it. The words hit me like a slap. Handle it. As if our son was some inconvenience, some task to check off a list. But Gregory, I'm teaching. I have 2 more classes this afternoon. Figure it out. He said, his tone growing harder. I have an important meeting in 10 minutes. I can't just leave. This is your son, I said, my voice shaking now. And you're his mother. Deal with it, Hazel. The line went dead. I stood in the middle of the hallway staring at my phone, feeling something cold settle in my chest. This wasn't just distance anymore. This was cruelty. But there was no time to process it. Tyler needed me. I rushed to the principal's office, explained the situation, and arranged for a substitute to cover my afternoon classes. Within 10 minutes, I was in my car driving toward Lincoln Elementary, with my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. All I could think about was Tyler, pale and sick, wondering where his parents were. And Gregory's words kept echoing in my head. You're the mother, handle it. I pulled into the parking lot of Lincoln Elementary at 11:50. The school is a low brick building with a bright red roof surrounded by oak trees that turn brilliant shades of gold and crimson in the fall. Normally, I love this place. It's where Tyler learned to read, where he made his first friends, where he discovered he loves science and hates Brussels sprouts. But today something felt wrong. There were 2 police cars parked in front of the main entrance. My heart lurched into my throat. Police, at an elementary school. Why would the police be here? I parked quickly, grabbed my purse, and ran toward the building. My mind was racing with terrible possibilities. Had something happened to Tyler? Was he hurt worse than the nurse let on? Was there some kind of emergency? I pushed through the front doors and nearly collided with Officer Davidson, a man in his early 40s with graying hair and a serious expression. I'd seen him around town before, usually directing traffic at school events. Mrs. Peterson? He asked. Yes, I'm here for my son Tyler. What's going on? Why are the police here? Please come with me, ma'am, he said, gesturing toward the principal's office. I followed him down the familiar hallway, past colorful bulletin boards covered in student artwork and spelling tests. Mrs. Chambers, the principal, stood outside her office talking to another police officer, a woman in her mid-30s with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. Mrs. Peterson. Mrs. Chambers said, her face grave. Thank you for coming so quickly. This is Officer Martinez. Where's Tyler? I demanded. Is he okay? He's in the nurse's office, Mrs. Chambers said. He's stable, but we need to talk to you about something concerning. Officer Martinez stepped forward. Mrs. Peterson, we need you to remain calm. Your son is safe, but we believe something happened to him this morning that requires police involvement. Police involvement. The words didn't make sense. I don't understand. The nurse said he was vomiting. What does that have to do with the police? Officer Davidson spoke up. Let's go see Tyler first, then we'll explain everything. They led me down another hallway to the nurse's office. The door was open and I could see Tyler sitting on the examination table, hugging a plastic bucket. His face was pale, almost gray, and there were dark circles under his eyes. When he saw me, his face crumpled. "Mom," he said weakly. I rushed to him, wrapping my arms around his small body. He felt clammy and cold. "Baby, I'm here. What happened? Are you okay?" "My stomach hurts so bad," he whispered. "I threw up everywhere." Mrs. Chen, the nurse, stood nearby. She's a kind woman in her late 50s who always has band-aids and sympathy for scraped knees. But today she looked worried. "Mrs. Peterson, Tyler has vomited 4 times now. When I examined him, I noticed some unusual symptoms. His pupils are slightly dilated, he's sweating, but his skin is cold and he's extremely nauseous. These aren't typical symptoms of a stomach bug." "What are you saying?" I asked, still holding Tyler. Officer Martinez stepped into the room. "Mrs. Peterson, we believe Tyler may have been given something. Something that made him sick." I pulled back to look at Tyler's face. "Given something? Like what? Who would give him anything?" "That's what we need to find out," Officer Davidson said. "We'd like you to come with us to look at some security footage." Security footage. My mind couldn't keep up. None of this made sense. Tyler went to school, ate breakfast at home like always. And now he was sick, and the police were here talking about someone giving him something. "Can someone please just tell me what's happening?" I said, hearing my voice crack. Officer Martinez put a gentle hand on my shoulder. "Mrs. Peterson, the school security cameras captured something unusual this morning during recess. We need you to watch it and tell us if you recognize the person in the video." They led me to the security office, a small room behind the main office, filled with monitors and recording equipment. The security guard, Mr. Thompson, was already queuing up the footage. "This is from camera 3, which covers the East Playground," Officer Davidson explained. "Timestamp is 9:15 this morning." The screen showed the playground in black and white. Children were everywhere running, playing on swings, chasing each other across the blacktop. I spotted Tyler immediately. He was playing soccer with 3 other boys near the fence. Then from the edge of the frame, a woman appeared. She was standing just outside the fence in the area where parents sometimes wait to pick up their kids. She had red hair that fell past her shoulders, and she was wearing a black jacket. Even in the grainy footage, I could see she was young, maybe early 30s. She raised her hand and waved. Tyler looked up, saw her, and his whole face brightened. He said something to his friends, then jogged over to the fence. "Do you see that?" Officer Martinez said quietly. I watched, my stomach twisting into knots. Tyler reached the fence and the woman smiled at him. They talked for a moment. I couldn't hear what they were saying. And then the woman reached into her jacket pocket. She pulled out a small bottle. It looked like one of those sports drinks, the kind with a twist-off cap. She handed it through the fence to Tyler. Tyler took it, unscrewed the cap, and drank. He drank the whole thing. The woman reached through the fence and patted his head almost affectionately. Tyler smiled at her, waved, and ran back to his friends. The woman walked away. The timestamp showed 9:17. An hour and a half later, Tyler started vomiting. "Who is that?" Officer Davidson asked. "Do you recognize her?" I stared at the screen, at this stranger who gave my son something to drink, and I felt ice run through my veins. "No," I whispered. "I've never seen her before in my life." Officer Martinez rewound the footage and paused it on the woman's face. The image was grainy, but clear enough. Red hair, sharp features, black jacket. A complete stranger. "Mrs. Peterson, we need to ask Tyler some questions," Officer Davidson said. "With your permission." I nodded, unable to speak. We went back to the nurse's office. Tyler was lying down now, still clutching the bucket. When he saw me, he tried to sit up. "Tyler, honey," I said, sitting beside him. "The police need to ask you something, okay? You're not in trouble, I promise." He nodded, his eyes wide with fear and confusion. Officer Martinez knelt down so she was at his eye level. "Tyler, we saw on the camera that a lady gave you a drink this morning. Do you remember that?" Tyler nodded slowly. "Yeah, she was nice." Do you know who she is? Officer Martinez asked gently. She said she's Daddy's friend from work. The world tilted. I grabbed the edge of the examination table to steady myself. What did you say? Tyler looked at me, his voice small. She said, Daddy asked her to bring me a special drink to help me focus for my math test today. Daddy's friend from work, Gregory. Officer Davidson was already on his phone. Mrs. Peterson, we need to contact your husband immediately. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The woman in the video, the stranger with red hair who poisoned my son, was Gregory's friend from work. Officer Martinez took out her own phone. What's your husband's full name and place of employment? Gregory Peterson, I heard myself say. He works at Thornton and Associates. It's an accounting firm downtown. My hands were shaking. Tyler was watching me with frightened eyes. Mom, did I do something wrong? I pulled him close, kissing the top of his head. No, baby, you didn't do anything wrong, nothing at all. But inside I was screaming. Officer Davidson put his phone on speaker. It rang once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, before Gregory finally answered. This better be important, Gregory said, his voice sharp with annoyance. I'm in the middle of something. Mr. Peterson, this is Officer Davidson with the Lincoln Police Department. I'm calling regarding your son, Tyler. There was a pause. What about Tyler? Sir, your son was taken ill at school this morning. We have reason to believe he was given a substance that made him sick. We have security footage showing a woman approaching him during recess and giving him a drink. Your son identified this woman as your friend from work. The silence on the other end stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. Mr. Peterson, Officer Davidson prompted. I don't know what you're talking about, Gregory said finally. His voice sounded strange tight. Sir, we need you to come to Lincoln Elementary immediately. This is a police matter. I'm at work. I have meetings all afternoon. Officer Martinez leaned toward the phone. Mr. Peterson, this is Officer Martinez. Your son is in the nurse's office with possible poisoning. The school has contacted emergency services. You need to be here. Now. Poisoning. Gregory's voice cracked. That's ridiculous. Tyler probably just ate something bad at breakfast. I snatched the phone from Officer Davidson's hand. Gregory, what is going on? Who is that woman? Tyler said she's your friend from work. Hazel, I don't know what Tyler thinks he saw, but he's confused. Kids get things mixed up all the time. The security camera doesn't lie, I said, my voice rising. There's a woman on video giving our son a drink, and now he's sick. Who is she? I have no idea. Look, I really can't leave right now. I have a presentation to the board in an hour. Officer Davidson took the phone back. Mr. Peterson, let me be very clear. Your son is being transported to St. Mary's Hospital for testing. We are treating this as a criminal investigation. If you do not come voluntarily, we will send officers to escort you. Do you understand? Another long pause. Fine, Gregory said, and the line went dead. I stared at the phone, then at the police officers, then at Tyler, who was watching everything with wide, frightened eyes. Mom, is Dad in trouble? He asked. I don't know, baby, I whispered. An ambulance arrived 15 minutes later. The paramedics, a young man and woman in dark blue uniforms, carefully transferred Tyler onto a stretcher. He looked so small lying there, so vulnerable. We're taking him to St. Mary's, the female paramedic said. Are you riding with us? I nodded, climbing into the back of the ambulance. Officer Martinez followed. We'll meet you there, Officer Davidson said. We need to do some checking on that woman in the video. The ambulance ride felt endless. Tyler lay on the stretcher, an IV in his small arm, his eyes closed. I held his other hand stroking his hair, whispering that everything would be okay, even though I had no idea if that was true. Officer Martinez sat across from me, typing on her phone. Mrs. Peterson, I need to ask you some questions about your husband. I looked up at her, my eyes burning with unshed tears. What do you want to know? How has your relationship been lately? I almost laughed. It was such a simple question with such a complicated answer. Distant, I said finally. He's been pulling away for months. coming home late, barely talking to me or Tyler. I thought it was work stress. Has he given you any reason to suspect he might be involved with someone else? The words hung in the air like poison. No, I said. I mean, I wondered sometimes. But Gregory isn't that kind of man. He's responsible, steady. He wouldn't. But even as I said it, I realized I didn't know. I didn't know anything anymore. We arrived at St. Mary's Hospital just after 1 in the afternoon. They rushed Tyler into the emergency room, and a doctor, Dr. Lynn, a woman in her mid-40s with kind eyes and steady hands, immediately began examining him. "We're going to run a full toxicology panel," she explained. "Based on his symptoms and the information from the school, we need to check for any foreign substances in his system." "How long will that take?" I asked. "A couple of hours for preliminary results." I sat in the waiting room, my hands clasped so tightly my fingers went numb. Officer Martinez sat beside me occasionally, stepping away to make phone calls. Through the window, I could see the parking lot, and I kept watching for Gregory's car. He didn't arrive until almost 3. When he walked through the emergency room doors, he looked terrible. His tie was loosened, his shirt wrinkled, and there was sweat on his forehead, despite the cool October air. His eyes were red-rimmed, and when he saw me, he couldn't hold my gaze. I stood up. "Where have you been?" "I came as fast as I could," he said. "Where's Tyler? Is he okay?" "He's with the doctors. They're running tests." Gregory ran a hand through his hair. "This is insane. I'm sure it's just a stomach bug or food poisoning or something." Officer Davidson appeared from around the corner. "Mr. Peterson, we need to talk." Gregory's face went pale. "About what?" "About Simone Blake." The name meant nothing to me, but I watched Gregory's reaction. He went absolutely still, like a deer caught in headlights. "Who's Simone Blake?" I asked. Officer Davidson looked at me. "She works in the accounting department at Thornton and Associates. 32 years old, red hair, lives downtown. We pulled employee records and her photo matches the woman in the security footage." Gregory shook his head. "She's just someone I work with. I barely know her." "That's strange," Officer Martinez said, "because we called her apartment and she's not answering. We've sent officers to her address. And according to your company's HR department, you and Miss Blake have been working closely together for the past 8 months. "So what?" Gregory said, his voice rising. "We work together. That doesn't mean anything." I stepped closer to him. "Gregory, look at me." He didn't. "Look at me." I grabbed his arm, forcing him to turn. "Who is she? Why did she give Tyler that drink?" "I don't know," he said, but his voice was shaking. "I swear, Hazel, I don't know why she would do that." Dr. Lynn came out of the examination room. Her face was serious. "Mrs. Peterson, Mr. Peterson, I need to speak with you. We have preliminary results from the toxicology screening." We followed her into a small consultation room. Officer Davidson and Officer Martinez came too. "Tyler has traces of a sedative in his system," Dr. Lynn said. "Specifically, a prescription sleep medication called Zolpidem. The amount isn't life-threatening, but it's enough to cause nausea, dizziness, and vomiting in a child his size." I felt the room spin. Someone gave him sleeping pills. A liquid form, yes. It was likely mixed into whatever beverage he consumed. Gregory made a choking sound. "That's impossible." Officer Davidson turned to him. "Mr. Peterson, your son was deliberately poisoned. This is attempted harm against a minor. We need you to tell us everything you know about Simone Blake." "I don't know anything," Gregory shouted. "She's just a co-worker. I've never even spoken to her outside of work meetings." But I was watching his face and I saw it. The flicker of panic, the way his eyes darted to the door like he wanted to run. I'd been married to this man for 15 years. I knew when he was lying. "You're lying," I whispered. He looked at me, then really looked at me, and I saw guilt written all over his face. "Hazel, please, tell me the truth, Gregory, right now." He opened his mouth, closed. It opened it again. Then his phone rang. It was Officer Martinez's phone, actually. She answered it, listened for a moment, then hung up. "We have Simone Blake in custody," she said. "She's being brought to the station for questioning. Mr. Peterson, you need to come with us." "Am I under arrest?" Gregory asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Not yet. But we need to ask you some questions." I watched as they led Gregory away. He looked back at me once, his face a mask of desperation. But I turned away. I couldn't look at him. I went back to Tyler's room. He was awake, looking better than before, the color returning to his cheeks. "Mom, where's Dad?" I sat on the edge of his bed and took his hand. "Daddy had to go talk to the police, sweetheart." "Is it because of me? Because I drank that lady's drink?" "No, baby, this is not your fault. None of this is your fault." But inside I was breaking into 1,000 pieces. They kept Tyler overnight for observation. I stayed with him, sleeping in the uncomfortable chair beside his bed, waking every time a nurse came in to check his vital signs. By morning, he was feeling much better, asking for pancakes and wanting to know if he could watch cartoons. I tried to smile, tried to pretend everything was normal, but my mind kept circling back to one question: why Officer Martinez called me at 8 in the morning. "Mrs. Peterson, can you come to the station? We finished interviewing Simone Blake, and there's something you need to hear." My mother came to stay with Tyler. She'd not driven 3 hours from her home upstate as soon as I'd called her the night before, arriving at the hospital with tears in her eyes and fierce determination in her voice. "I'll take care of my grandson. You go do what you need to do." The police station was a grey building downtown with fluorescent lights and linoleum floors. Officer Martinez met me at the front desk and led me to a small room with a table and chairs. "Before we play the recording, I need to warn you," she said. "What you're about to hear is going to be very difficult." "Just play it," I said. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. She pressed a button on the recording device. Simone Blake's voice came through the speakers. She sounded young, scared, desperate. "I didn't want to hurt the kid, I swear. Greg said it was just vitamins. He said it would help Tyler focus better at school." Another voice, Officer Davidson's. "When did Gregory Peterson first ask you to give his son these vitamins?" "About 2 months ago. We'd been seeing each other for, I don't know, maybe 8 months by then. He said he was going to leave his wife, but he was worried about custody. He said Hazel was an okay mom, but not great. And if he could show that Tyler was struggling under her care, he'd have a better chance of getting full custody." The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the table. Simone's voice continued. "He gave me these little bottles and said to give them to Tyler whenever I could. At first, I'd wait by the park near their house. Tyler would be playing, and I'd offer him a juice box or a sports drink. He's a sweet kid, always polite. He'd thank me and drink it." "How many times did you give Tyler these drinks?" Officer Davidson asked. "I don't know. Maybe 10, 12. Greg kept saying we needed to build a pattern, needed to show that Tyler was getting sick regularly. He said once we had enough doctor visits on record, he could use it in the divorce." "And you never questioned this?" Simone's voice broke. "I loved him. I thought we were going to be together. He promised me we'd be a family, him and me and Tyler. I didn't know the drinks would make Tyler this sick. Greg said they were just mild sedatives, that they'd give him a stomach ache at most. Did Mr. Peterson ever express concern about his son's well-being?" There was a long pause. "No," Simone said quietly. "He just kept saying we needed more evidence." Officer Martinez stopped the recording. I sat there, unable to move, unable to breathe. 8 months. Gregory had been poisoning our son for 2 months, deliberately making him sick, using him as a pawn in some twisted plan to frame me as a bad mother, so he could steal custody and run off with his mistress. All those times Tyler came home from school complaining his stomach hurt. All those trips to the pediatrician, the worried nights sitting up with him while he threw up. The fear that something was seriously wrong with my baby. It was Gregory. It had always been Gregory. "Mrs. Peterson, I'm so sorry," Officer Martinez said softly. I looked up at her, and I realized I was crying. Tears were streaming down my face, but I didn't remember when they'd started. "I want to see him," I said. "I want to see Gregory. He's in another interrogation room. We can arrange it, but I have to warn you, he's not being cooperative. I don't care. I need to see him. They led me down a hallway to another room. Through the one-way glass, I could see Gregory sitting at a table, his head in his hands. He looked smaller, somehow diminished. Officer Davidson opened the door. "Mr. Peterson, your wife is here." Gregory's head snapped up. When he saw me, his face crumpled. "Hazel, please let me explain." I walked into the room slowly. Officer Martinez right behind me. I sat down across from Gregory, and for a long moment, I just stared at him. "Explain what?" I said finally. "Explain how you poisoned our son. Explain how you've been having an affair for 8 months. Explain how you planned to steal Tyler away from me by making me look like a neglectful mother." "It wasn't like that," Gregory said, his voice desperate. "I never wanted to hurt Tyler. I love him. You love him." I felt something crack inside me. "You put sedatives in his drinks, you made him sick over and over again. He's 9 years old, Gregory. He trusted you." "I just needed evidence," Gregory said, tears running down his face now. "I knew if I filed for divorce, you'd fight me for custody. I needed to show that Tyler was better off with me. By poisoning him, Simone said it was safe. She said it was just enough to make him queasy to build a medical record." I stood up my chair, scraping loudly against the floor. "I don't want to hear her name. I don't want to hear any of your excuses. Hazel, please. I love Simone. I want to be with her. But I also love Tyler. I thought if I had custody, we could all be happy together." I looked at this man, this stranger wearing my husband's face, and I felt nothing but disgust. "You're not his father anymore," I said quietly. "You're a criminal, and I hope you rot in prison for what you've done." Gregory reached across the table. "Hazel, don't do this. We can work this out. For Tyler's sake. Don't you dare use his name," I said, my voice like ice. "You lost the right to be his father the moment you decided to hurt him." I turned and walked out of the room. I didn't look back. Officer Martinez followed me into the hallway. "Mrs. Peterson, we have enough evidence to charge both Gregory and Simone Blake with child endangerment conspiracy and assault. They're looking at significant prison time." I nodded. I felt numb, like I was watching everything happen from very far away. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now you go home to your son. We'll handle the rest." But I didn't go home. Not yet. I called Sarah Fontaine, the best divorce attorney in the state. She had a reputation for winning custody battles for protecting mothers and children from dangerous situations. Her office was in a tall building downtown, all glass and steel. "Mrs. Peterson," she said when I walked in. She was a woman in her late 40s with sharp eyes and a firm handshake. "I've been following your case in the police reports. Please sit down." I sat in the leather chair across from her desk and told her everything. The affair, the poisoning Simone Blake, the plan to frame me. By the time I finished, she was taking notes furiously. "This is one of the most clear-cut cases I've ever seen," she said. "Your husband has not only committed multiple crimes, he's demonstrated a complete disregard for your child's safety. Getting full custody will not be difficult. I want more than that," I said. "I want him to have no rights, no visitation, no contact, nothing. I want Tyler to be safe from him forever." Sarah looked at me seriously. "Given the circumstances, that's very possible. But you need to be prepared for what's ahead. This is going to be public. There will be a trial, both criminal and for the divorce. You'll have to testify. So will Tyler." "I don't care," I said. "I'll do whatever it takes to protect my son." Over the next few days, I became a woman I didn't recognize. Stronger, harder, more determined. I gathered every piece of medical documentation from Tyler's doctor visits over the past 2 months. I made copies of every text message, every email, every phone record I could find on our shared accounts. I built a case brick by brick. I found evidence of Gregory's affair in his credit card statements. Dinners at expensive restaurants on nights he claimed to be working late. A hotel room booked for a weekend when he said he was at a conference. Flowers purchased from a florist, flowers I never received. The lies went deeper than I'd imagined. I also talked to the other mothers at Tyler's school. Three of them remembered seeing a woman with red hair near the playground over the past couple of months. I thought she was someone's mom, one said. She seemed nice. Nice. The word made me sick. 2 weeks after Tyler was poisoned, the preliminary custody hearing took place. Gregory appeared with his own lawyer, a man in his 50s, who tried to argue that his client had made a mistake but loved his son. I sat in the courtroom, wearing my best navy suit, my hair pulled back, my spine straight. Tyler was with my mother. Thank God. He didn't need to see this. Sarah stood up and presented our case. The security footage, the toxicology reports, Simone Blake's confession, the medical records showing a pattern of illness that coincided exactly with Gregory's affair. Gregory's lawyer tried to argue that his client was remorseful, that he deserved a second chance. I took the stand. Mrs. Peterson, Sarah said gently, can you tell the court about the phone call you received when your son first got sick? I took a deep breath and spoke clearly. I called my husband to tell him Tyler was ill and needed to be picked up from school. His response was, I'm at work. You're the mother, handle it. When I explained that Tyler was seriously sick, he told me to figure it out and hung up on me. And what did you think when you heard that? I thought he didn't care. I said, my voice steady. I thought he cared more about his job than his son. I had no idea that he was actually hoping Tyler would get sicker, that he wanted evidence to use against me. Sarah nodded. Can you describe for the court what it was like to learn your husband had been systematically poisoning your child? I looked directly at the judge, a man in his 60s named Judge Williams. It destroyed me. This is the man I trusted for 15 years, the man I built a life with, and he used our son as a weapon. He made Tyler sick over and over just so he could blame me. What kind of father does that? Gregory was crying at the defense table, his shoulders shaking. I felt nothing for him. The judge listened to all the evidence, asked questions, reviewed documents. Finally, he spoke. Mr. Peterson, your actions are nothing short of reprehensible. You endangered your child's life for personal gain. You showed a complete lack of judgment, empathy, and parental responsibility. Temporary full custody is granted to Mrs. Peterson with no visitation rights for Mr. Peterson, pending the outcome of the criminal trial. The gavel came down. I walked out of that courtroom with my head high. Sarah shook my hand. That was just the beginning. We still have the full divorce proceedings and the criminal trial. But you did great today. Thank you, I said. That evening, I picked Tyler up from my mother's house. He ran to me and threw his arms around my waist. Did you see Dad? He asked. I did, sweetheart. Is he coming home? I knelt down so I was at his level. No, baby, Dad made some very bad choices, and he has to face the consequences. But you know what? You and I are going to be okay. I promise you that. Tyler looked at me with those big brown eyes. Are you sure? I'm absolutely sure. We're going to be better than okay. We're going to be great. And for the first time in weeks, I believed it. 3 months later, Gregory Peterson and Simone Blake stood trial for child endangerment conspiracy to commit assault and reckless endangerment of a minor. I sat in the courtroom every single day. I wanted Gregory to see me, to know that I wasn't backing down, that I would fight for Tyler with everything I had. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence. The security footage played on a large screen showing Simone handing Tyler the poisoned drink. Medical experts testified about the effects of zolpidem on a child's system. Police officers described finding bottles of the sedative in Simone's apartment, along with text messages between her and Gregory, planning their strategy. Gregory's defense tried to argue that he never intended serious harm, that he was simply misguided. Simone's lawyer claimed she was manipulated by an older, more powerful man. The jury didn't buy it. After 4 days of testimony, they returned guilty verdicts on all counts. Gregory was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Simone received 2 years. Both would be registered as offenders against children. Gregory lost all parental rights permanently. I didn't celebrate. I just felt tired. Tyler had been in therapy for months, by then working with Dr. Emma Hartley, a child psychologist who specialized in trauma. At first, he had nightmares. He'd wake up screaming, afraid someone was trying to hurt him. He became anxious about eating or drinking anything he hadn't seen me prepare. Dr. Hartley was patient and kind. She helped Tyler understand that what happened wasn't his fault, that his father's choices were his own. Slowly, gradually, my son started to heal. I went to therapy too. I had to deal with the betrayal, the anger, the guilt. I kept asking myself if I'd missed signs, if I could have prevented this somehow. My therapist, a woman named Dr. Roberts, helped me see that I couldn't have known. Gregory was a master manipulator. He'd lied to everyone. 6 months after the trial, Tyler and I moved to a smaller house across town. It was a fresh start away from the memories of the life we'd had with Gregory. The new place had 3 bedrooms, a little yard, and a porch where I could sit and drink my morning coffee. Tyler made new friends at his new school. He joined the soccer team and discovered he loved playing goalie. His nightmares became less frequent. His smile came back. I started painting again, something I hadn't done in years. I'd let my art slip away during my marriage, too busy being a wife and mother to remember I was also an artist. Now I set up an easel in the spare bedroom and spent evenings working on canvases filled with color and light. One Saturday morning, exactly 1 year after the poisoning, Tyler came into the kitchen where I was making pancakes. "Mom, can we get a dog?" I looked at him, this resilient, beautiful child who'd been through so much and still found joy in simple things. "Maybe for your birthday," I said, flipping a pancake. He grinned and hugged me around the waist. "You're the best mom ever." "And you're the best son ever," I said, kissing the top of his head. That afternoon, I painted a picture of Tyler. He was standing in sunlight, wearing his soccer uniform, holding a ball, smiling that brilliant smile that lit up my whole world. I titled it Resilience and hung it in our living room right where the old family photos used to be. I didn't hate Gregory anymore. I'd moved past that. Hate takes energy, and I needed all my energy for building a new life with Tyler. Gregory would spend his time in prison, and when he got out, he'd be someone else's problem. He was nothing to me now. Sometimes Tyler asked about his father. I was honest with him in age-appropriate ways. "Your dad made very bad choices that hurt you. That's why he can't be in our lives anymore. But that doesn't mean you're not loved. You have me, you have grandma, you have friends and teachers and a whole community that cares about you." It seemed to be enough. On Tyler's 10th birthday, we adopted a golden retriever puppy we named Sunny. Tyler was over the moon playing with the puppy for hours, teaching it tricks, falling asleep with it curled up at the foot of his bed. Watching him, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Our life wasn't perfect. We still had hard days. There were moments when Tyler would get quiet, and I knew he was thinking about everything that had happened. There were nights when I lay awake wondering how I'd missed the signs of Gregory's betrayal. But mostly we were okay. Better than okay. We were building something new, something honest and safe and full of love. One evening, after tucking Tyler into bed and reading him a chapter from his favorite book, I sat on the porch with a cup of tea. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Sunny was sprawled at my feet, snoring softly. I thought about the woman I'd been a year ago, the one who believed in a marriage that was already dead, who trusted a man who didn't deserve it. I thought about the phone call that changed everything. Gregory's cold voice saying, "You're the mother, handle it." I had handled it. I'd fought for my son. I'd stood up in court and told the truth. I'd refused to back down or give up or let Gregory's cruelty define us. And I'd won. Not because of luck or miracles, but because I'd found strength I didn't know I had. Because I'd chosen to be the mother Tyler needed, the protector he deserved. Sitting here now, watching the sunset paint the sky, I think about everything I learned from this nightmare. First, I learned to trust my intuition. For months, I felt something was wrong in my marriage, but I pushed those feelings aside. I told myself I was being paranoid that everything was fine. Never again. Now I listen to that quiet voice inside that says when something's off. Intuition is real, especially a mother's intuition. It's not paranoia, it's wisdom. Second, I learned that strength doesn't mean never breaking down. I cried so many times during this ordeal. I had moments where I wanted to curl up in bed and never get out. But strength is getting up anyway. It's fighting even when you're exhausted. It's choosing to move forward one step at a time, even when the path ahead looks impossible. Third, I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. I don't hate Gregory anymore, but I'll never forget what he did. Forgiveness for me meant releasing the anger that was eating me alive. It meant choosing not to let his betrayal poison the rest of my life. But it didn't mean giving him another chance. Some actions are unforgivable in the sense that they can't be undone or excused. You can let go of hate without letting someone back into your life. Fourth, I learned that being a good mother doesn't mean being perfect. I used to worry constantly about whether I was doing enough, being enough. Gregory used that insecurity against me, made me feel like I was failing. But the truth is, loving your child fiercely and protecting them with everything you have, that's what matters. Not perfect Pinterest-worthy birthday parties or organic homemade baby food. Just love and protection and presence. Finally, I learned that you are stronger than you think. A year ago, if someone had told me I'd be raising Tyler alone, surviving a criminal trial, rebuilding my entire life, I would have said it was impossible. But here I am. Here we are. And we're not just surviving. We're thriving. If you're going through something similar, please know this. You're stronger than you think. Trust yourself. Protect your children. Never let anyone make you doubt your worth as a mother or as a person. It won't be easy. There will be days when you want to give up, but you won't, because you're stronger than you know. And one day you'll look back and realize you didn't just survive the storm. You learned to dance in the rain. I don't know what the future holds for Tyler and me. Maybe we'll stay in this little house forever. Maybe we'll move again. Maybe I'll meet someone new someday, or maybe it'll just be the two of us and Sunny. I don't know, and that's okay. What I do know is this: Tyler and I will face whatever comes together. He's safe now. He's loved. He's healing. And that's all that matters. As I sit here on this porch with my son sleeping peacefully inside, and my dog at my feet, I feel something I haven't felt in a very long time. Hope. Pure, simple, unshakable hope. And that's enough. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to fight for someone you love? Have you ever discovered that someone you trusted was betraying you? How did you find the strength to keep going? Leave a comment and share your story. Your experience might help someone else who's going through the same thing. And if this story touched you in any way, please hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss future stories. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that they're stronger than they think. Your support means everything. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope that whatever you're facing in your own life, you find the courage to stand up, speak out, and fight for what's right. Take care of yourselves and each other. And remember, you are so much stronger than you know.